Hey, Hans from Request for Music here, and I have just updated harmonics because there were a couple of things that were not exactly how they were intended, and this is actually a piece of music that I could do now. This is playing live, and it means that I can just play a note over it. So, a couple of things that I've actually improved because there were some bugs in there apparently. There was, you see the NOGATE and fix being on in this case, and I'll build something like this in total from the beginning. So that means I'm going back to a basic setting where I play a note, and then it's in the basic settings that I have all of the harmonics set to a certain ratio or to a temperament, or how you call it, where all of the oscillators go in a harmonic setting when compared to each other. But to do something like I did now earlier, I have to put everything into unison. So that means that all of the harmonics will have the same base frequency. And I also want them all to have the same volume, or the same master maximum volume. So I need to have them all in flat. So that's the sort of the beginning that I do now. So that means that I have obviously this note, just a sine wave, and nothing very special, of course. And every new harmonic that I'll switch on will be also at that same frequency. They won't necessarily follow the same envelope, because all of the settings might be different for the others, but at least they have the same starting frequency. So that means that now, for instance, if I would take, and I'll just press the C to start off with, and let's say that I want harmonics, or harmonic 2, or oscillator 2 actually, number 0. I want that to respond to a sequencer. So I'll just pull a sequencer in. So go into my library, and I'll take my sequencer in here. And I'm not going to play the sequencer by itself. I'm going to use the gate in from my generate. So it means that is going to set the speed, so to speak. So I'm just going to, I don't know where this is. It was at the gate. So instead I'm going to send it to the gate of this, and harmonics in itself is receiving a gate from the CV source and a pitch from the CV source, but I don't want this second, or this number 1 harmonic, to respond to both the gate and the pitch from the outside here. I have changed the fix setting because I do want it to respond to any settings that I have in my modulation source to a pitch. So I am indeed able to send some sequence in and then do something with that. So let's see if I have something. I have just a C key set as a base in the sequencer. So if I take this out, I'll put it in external 1, and I'll take the gate out and I'll put it into external 1. So now if I use my number 1 harmonic, that's the only one that I switched on because I switched the rest off to just focus on this one. I'm going to take the external 1 input, and I'm going to target my number 1 pitch, and going to add that to my root list, and I'm going to take my number 2 external, and I'm going to go to my gate with that and add that to it, and make sure that my gate is strong enough and that this is switched on. So I need to switch that on. So at least I have the basic notes, and the speed is being changed by my generate. So something like this. This is going to decide the notes, and of course the decay, sustain, release is going to change the envelope of this one harmonic. And I only hear it being gated, so to speak. If I go back to my pitch, I see that actually the depth is still at 0, and if I dial this up all the way up to 1, it's going to follow a 1-to-1 relationship of all of the notes there. So, and then of course I can set my my coarse range, because if it's at a certain setting where it's not going to respond, because I'm actually pressing a key, you don't see that of course, but you do see the light on the MIDI. Oh, you don't even see that, that's out of sight, so I see. But I'm pressing a key, but nothing changes. So to let you listen to that, I'll just press my... So I'm pressing my keyboard. Number 0 is receiving this pitch and gate, but number 1 is not. So I can have it set its own frequency as well. So for instance, if I'm going to dial this up, the pot meters and the knobs have changed in such a way that if I set it at fix, you'll see the frequency. So let's say that I wanted some A or something. Will be hard to do it exactly, but I'm going to set it at 220. So the bass note is 220 hertz, and I'm going to play over that using my my number 0. So I'm going to switch that to number 2 or something. So something like this, and obviously I can use a second sequencer that could do something else on a different harmonic, and obviously I could change something like this, and if I needed a different sound, maybe a triangle, I could change that, or to a sawtooth. And if instead I also want to drive this from something else, I can actually use any of all the other harmonics or all of the other oscillators. So I mean, normally there's just one LFO built into this system. Yeah, so if I would want to drive this, and let's take a longer envelope so we will hear it. I'm going to get my LFO. I don't necessarily need to put the actually source index in front of it, but it might be useful to do that after all. So I'm going to use the LFO to drive target number 1, the fine tuning, for instance. And I'm going to switch it to add. You already hear that it's doing something, but the depth is far too high because it's at 100%, and the speed of the LFO is maybe not what I want. So maybe I want something like this, and so something like this. But I can actually use any of the other oscillators as sort of a helper now. They're all at unison, so I can dial whatever in. So let's say that I take, for instance, and I'll take number 60, just for argument's sake. So that means that I'm going to go into number 60, and I'm going to say I don't want any gate, and I want it to be fixed, and I don't even want it to send out any sound, so I'm muted as well. And I'm not sure if I want an envelope or not, but I don't actually need that, because what I can do is, if I use my number 60, so using number 16, I'm using the normal output, I could actually go into this number 1 again, and let's say we're going to add this to the coarse tuning. I could do something like this. Or if I would go to my pitch, or maybe use not the envelope, but use something else for this. Use a normal envelope output, because I could send an extra gate in there to drive this. But now, of course, it's in audio range with the frequency. I'm still at coarse, so let's dial this back. And I had it set at coarse, didn't I? So you can hear that I'm actually driving this extra on top of the other modulation. So that means that I can set all kinds of modulations that way. Or let's say I have this sound, this oscillator. I'll switch this one off for now, and I'll also switch that one off. I still have this oscillator 0. So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to take a triangle wave for that. Very dull, very boring. But I'm going to take an extra oscillator. I'm going to use 61. I'm not necessary to put to only take the higher ones. You can take whatever. But if I take number 61, for instance, I'm going to use number 61. Number 61 as a source, and I'm going to use the envelope of number 61. I'm going to drive number 0 with that, and I'm going to drive my fine-tuning, for instance, with that. So I do this. So now I hear that the frequency, and I let's see, did I switch that one off? No, not yet. So I want the gate, so I don't switch that on, but I want it to be mute. And fix is not really necessary because I'm only using the envelope. So I'm doing something like this now. But that means that if I, for instance, use an attack and I'm going to use my decay and sustain full, I get something like this. So I can actually add that pitch envelope to number 0 by using number 61 as sort of a helper oscillator in this case. So there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do by using this modulation root list, so to speak. So it's up to you to decide what to do exactly with it. And if I want to create a bit better sound for this, well, obviously I can use its own output, because that's the big advantage over something like a DX7, where it's up to the algorithm that you use which oscillator has feedback. But actually you can do that in every one here, or in every single oscillator that you use. So if I take my number 0 and I'm going to take its envelope out and going into number 1 and going into the phase and add that, I'm actually it's over modulating now, so I need to put this back. But so now I've changed the sound, and so I can do something like that, and I have a different sound. And actually the amount of envelope is not only arranged by this depth, but it's also done by the volume. So if that's true, I can actually use another oscillator to drive the phase of this and have that being modulated, for instance. So I'm not using, and let's clear this up again, so we'll start new. And I'm going to use again this, I'm going to drive it by itself. So number 0, I'm going to switch that one off for now. Going to use my number 0, go and use my envelope out, going to drive itself into the phase, add this to it. So I have some different sound than just a triangle. Let's take the sine wave and make sure that I have indeed a phased kind of thing there. So now take the other oscillator, number 1, for instance, and I'm going to number 1, and I'm not going to be using the envelope. I want it switched. Well, I don't even need that actually. going to switch this off. I don't want any gates. I want it to be muted, and it may be fixed. I can set some frequency later if I want it. And I'm going to drive number, so I'm going to use number 1. I'm going to use a normal output, so it doesn't really respond to the envelope. I'm going to drive number 0, the phase again. I'm going to add this, so that means that this is being added to my other phase modulation. So let's drive this to 0, so I only have the other one. Obviously, because it's a fixed frequency, it's going to give me all kinds of inharmonic sound. So maybe just switch this off and maybe reset the frequency. So switch it to 1 and set this to 0. And now this will drive the phase of number 0. But now if I, for instance, take the LFO, so I'm going to drive the LFO at a lower speed, and I'm going to use the LFO, to dial in the volume of my number 1. So add this. Now I can play around with these settings. To dial in, because the phase was still, I think I've overruled some of the stuff. I need to go back and, so you hear it better. So the phase is being changed by number 2, by number 1. That is being changed, or the volume of that is being changed by the oscillator. And I could do all kinds of things now. I could put this into a triangle. And as I said, I could also take another, if what I need as an LFO is not available in the original LFO, because the original LFO in here, the one that I dial in with this knob here, is only a sine wave. But if I need something else, I could actually take, for instance, number 2. Let's go and use number 2, and number 2 is going to not respond to a gate. I don't want its own sound, and I want it to be fixed at a frequency that I can set from my coarse knob here. And I'm going to drive my number 0, and I'm going to I'm going to use number 2. I'm going to use its output, I think, and I'm going to drive number 0 fine tuning. I'm going to add that to it. Maybe it's best to set some of the phasing of. So now I use just normal sine wave, because and I can actually switch number 1 off if I wanted to. So I only have oscillator 0 and oscillator 2 on, and I'm going to delete the other things that have to do with harmonic 1. So I'm going to take this one out, so remove, and I'm going to take the normal LFO out. So all I have now is number 2 oscillator, number 0 oscillator, responding to the output of oscillator number 2. So that means that if I set my let's see, number 2 output is going to there. So So I can change all kinds of sounds that way, and if I would do it to the course instead, it would really make a difference there. If I would change it to pitch setting and update that, it does give you the same sort of effect as with the fine, although the pitch is set to a 1 volt per octave. So that means that if I dial this all the way up, it's doing exactly the 1 volt per octave. Although it's not quite sure why it doesn't respond at the moment. We'll have a look at that later. But so in the end, all I want is a whole kind of a whole lot of oscillators to take several jobs, and the algorithms of the DX7 could easily be rebuilt, as I've shown in the other movies. So if I have, for instance, one carrier and I've got a couple of oscillators in the middle as harmonics, as modulators, and I've got one here and I've got one over there, or maybe two here, and because obviously in DX7 I only have 6 oscillators to work with, and in here, yeah, if I want to have a modulator stack of 6 oscillators, or how many I want, with all kinds of different harmonics, I can easily do that. Or switch it in such a way that I say, okay, I only want this 3, 4, 5, 6, and I create another stack here which does something like that, or maybe something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe one more here again, and maybe I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. Sort of looks like Tetris in the meantime, but maybe that's an idea, to build something like that it just switches on randomly oscillators. Who knows? Maybe an idea for the future. Anyway, so you could easily build a system of multiple DX7 sounds, so to speak. So that just as an idea again, and I hope you can work with that. I hope you enjoyed this, and be looking forward to all of the ideas that you guys come up with. So I can easily may have missed something. So I hope you you get back with responses. Cheers. Bye bye.